You got Bergman, Fellini, Kurosawa,
Amazon,
Chaplin, and Truffaut. Yeah, right.
Truffaut.
Truffaut.
Hey, it's Nathan Jones and
it's me, Chris, from Hertastic Reviews. I'm glad we could get together.
Yeah, we're here to talk about the final 3 films of opening night.
We did it.
We did it. We finally made it through the first part of the 5-part series of the.
It's been one long night. One long night.
It's been one long opening night. It's been a month and a half, 3 months long period.
Yep.
We'll get better at this. Trust me. But today we're talking about Summer with Monica from 1953. We're talking about Dreams from 1955, and then we're also talking about A Lesson in Love from 1954. I know that we just jumped around all over the place, but we'll do that in that order because that's the order that the Criterion has curated this Bergman opening night. And sorry if you hear any loud noises. It's thundering outside. It's a little rainy and storms, so that's what happens. But we don't really get a chance to talk much.
Not about this stuff, no.
No.
But you can always check out what I have to say through Letterboxd. I usually do reviews for that to help actually with this video series. I'll be doing Letterboxd reviews, just quick snippets.
I'll put that out in the description down below, his Letterboxd account and also his channel as well. So you want to start off talking about Summer with Monica, which is actually the most famous film of the 3 we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And this movie actually, before we really get into the movie itself, I want to say that it actually got a new life in America. Prior to its kind of wide release for everybody else. It became an exploitation film.
Summer with Monica?
Yeah, Summer with Monica was an exploitation type of film. I'm trying to remember exactly what the name was, but this creator, Kroger Babb, he is actually kind of known for doing stuff like this, but he created this and more or less took different parts of Summer with Monica and just made it into something else. And he re-edited it and released it as Monica and boasted it by the advertising campaign featuring the tagline, "The Story of a Bad Girl."
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Putting provocative images and captions there. So that is the notoriety of this film.
Interesting.
But now we can talk a little bit about actually what the movie is. Summer with Monica. Bergman's Summer with Monica.
Yeah, so I was actually going to be, I think I even told you, that was going to be my first Bergman film before this collection got announced. I was going to buy just the individual Criterion. And I guess when you say that stuff, it is kind of provocative because the Criterion cover for the movie alone is just her on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's like just, suit. Yeah, it's shot in a way, that cover, that still image is a little sensualized.
Yeah, so that's really interesting and new news to me. The movie is kind of surprising, at least when I watched it, especially after watching Summer Interlude, which is a completely different tone of story. Kind of like Summer Interlude is like a summer love gone right with some tragedy, whereas Summer with Monica for me was a young summer love gone wrong with tragedy as well. Turned
into some things after that fling, because I mean this is about 2 people. Once again, we have Monica, obviously, that's Harriet Anderson, who actually Bergman was dating at the time.
Yep.
And so it was kind of a love letter to her.
Yeah.
And she was very naturalistic in her beauty. She really didn't put on makeup or anything like that, and it was kind of like a challenge to the Hollywoodization of beauty standards for the time.
Yeah, a lot of Harriet Anderson, she's just a reoccurring actress in a lot of these Bergman movies. Except I think Lars Ekberg, who plays Harry, was he also in A Ship to India? I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. So you get these reoccurring actors, which I really love because it feels like you're growing in this story and the careers of all these actors, and I love how that Bergman did it, and then Criterion really, I felt like, tried to highlight it with the curation of these movies. But yeah, so Harry basically is a postal delivery boy who's at a dead-end job there. Yeah, he's like a young man's kind of job that he's not doing anything. Yeah, and he runs into Monica kind of like the small little tavern, and she's like saying, "Oh, you're cute. I want to run away with you." And they go out on a date, and they fall in love, and she quits her job. Well, she quits her job and leaves her family because her dad's a drunk. Yeah, abuses her. Yeah, abuses her, and there's a very crammed little home, and she just wants to get away from it. So she runs away, and goes to Harry's house, where Harry is taking care of his sickly father, and his old aunt is there with him. And he can't keep her there, so what he does is he takes her to his
boat.
His
Dad's boat, yeah.
That's where they live.
And he also quits his job, and he's like, I'm going to be late for work, like one morning when they like slept there, and then he's like, I'm going to be late for work, and then he goes to his job, he's like, wait, what am I doing? And then that's kind of where the story unfolds, where they have this summer fling.
Yep.
And it's like it's that escapism. It's
just being young and rebellious.
Yeah, it's being young and rebellious.
And that's what I like about it, because the movie really highlights the adults as being kind of like sensible, but like super rude people. Like his boss and stuff is like, oh, you're not getting a week's pay now. Oh, we have to pay him his whatever his fee for leaving the job now.
Yeah.
His unemployment. You know, we have to pay his unemployment. It's like a big deal. So he runs away with Monika on an island. An island.
Bergman's Island.
Bergman's
Island. Uh-oh.
And so they go there on this boat, and they just basically spend the summer there.
Yeah.
It really doesn't go into detail like how they're living, other than like drinking coffee and small snacks here.
Yeah, it's about. I mean, that's about 3/4 of the movie. Yeah. So it's a majority of the movie, and you get a little bit. The after effects of that, after the fact that Chris was alluding to, as like things don't end up entirely how we think they do. But I think the main theme of this movie is that 3/4, that escapism, that non-conformist, especially for Monika, because this is centered around Monika. Obviously, it's in the title. I think Bergman, especially around this time period, was really highlighting his female actresses. Mm-hmm. Like he was just like kind of really showing how independent they could be and how amazing they can be as leads, and kind of have stories centered around them. Yeah, and they don't he's trying to show that they don't conform to this world that maybe adults or men set up. Yep. And I think that's interesting.
And it's interesting, like kind of like yin and yang, because usually in some of these movies, you know, it's the guy that takes the charge. Yeah. Takes the lead in like these movies. Like, you know, I have to like provide, and you know, we have to survive. It's Monika that's doing all of this work, and Harry's just kind of shy and nervous and kind of like, I don't know if we should be doing this, but she's like, no, we got to do it and stuff like that. And he just listens to her. But the thing about that, before we get to like the dark twist stuff, they're very much in love, and it's very it's very natural.
It feels really natural.
They feel like actual like young lovers. I don't know if Bergman did it on purpose or he was just getting jealous.
Yeah, well, maybe he like. I watched some of the supplements, but it's been a little bit since I've seen the supplements. I do remember him inserting a little bit of himself into the story. Obviously, he's the director, he's the cinematographer, and also he's with Harriet Anderson in real life at the time. And so I'm sure he inserted some of himself in what's his name's character, Lars's character,
Harry.
Ekberg, and Harry's character. So.
But yeah, they're just in love, and they even profess it like consistently. And you know, you really fall. You want these kids. You think throughout this movie, it's like, oh, it's like summer interlude. These kids are gonna make it work. They're gonna fall in love. It's gonna be cute. But then it gets into the crazy bad stuff.
Yeah, well, not really to get into spoiler territory because we want you to watch it. Yeah. But it kind of comes to grip with the reality of, okay, so the summer ended. The summer, this really nice season of, getting away from everybody and doing this thing, it can't last forever. Mm-hmm. And reality hits them. They end up in a relationship, and things aren't all pristine and pretty, and they're at each other's throats for lots of different reasons. And
yeah, they're hungry, they're cold, and they have to find a means. Well, Monika tries to find a means to survive. But there's also like something between the two that once you watch the movie, you kind of go, whoa, okay. Yeah. We won't talk about that, but
overall, I think this is a fantastic movie. Yeah. And I'm really happy that this is in the opening night, because I think it fits this theme that Bergman has with these 50s movies and these late 40s movies.
Yeah, kind of like love and some comedy, some drama, some dark. It goes tragedy, dark places. I think like the existential crisis and identity of like being a young person and coming to grips with like adulthood. Mm-hmm. Because later on in the movie, they get together and they go back to society, and there's a lot more that goes to it. And then you kind of question Monika a little bit, and like, is she the one that's the problem, or like is the society a problem?
Yeah.
And how to make these kids essentially have to grow up so fast?
Yeah, it's a nice little snapshot of something that we all have experiences like this summer with Monika. We all have times in our lives where it honestly kind of seems like a dream in some kind of capacity, and it's because it's like things are going so well, and then obviously every single time we get back to reality, something's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously our perceptions are a little different. It's a little colored based on the reality of what's going on in actual, the real world, I suppose, and how harsh it can be.
Did you say dreams?
I did say dreams.
Why'd you say dreams?
Because it's a prelude to the next one.
What movie is that, Nathan?
All right,
Could it be maybe the 1955 film?
Dreams. So we're gonna do transition here. I think that's. Do you want to say anything else about Summer with Monika?
No. Just check it out when you can.
Check it out. I give this movie a 4 out of 5. I think it's one of the Bergman's best films that I've seen so far. It's up there with Summer Interlude, in my opinion, and I like Smiles of a Summer Night. It's one of those, I feel like they contemporary. Some of them are a little bit more ranked differently, but for the most part, they're just solid. It's a solid movie.
Yeah, I kept dancing between a 3 and a 3.5. I couldn't tell where I stood on it. I really wanted to give it a 4 and a 5, because I'd been so eager to see this movie. But Summer Interlude still got me.
Sure.
It hooked me.
Yeah, Summer Interlude. Yeah, is phenomenal. So let's go to Dreams. 1955. What's it about?
It's a really interesting movie that starts off with Harriet Anderson again as Monika, but she's now a model. She's a very young model. And then you get
very airheaded.
Yeah,
model.
Very, very gorgeous, obviously, because she's a model in the movie. And then you get the lady Eva Dahlbeck, who actually plays the character Suzanne. She's
in a lot of things.
Yeah, she was in Smiles of a Summer Night. She was the old actress. Well, she's her boss. And the opening scene is so annoying to me in a good way because they're taking pictures, but there's this fat old guy that just is doing this the whole time and then stops and then does it again. And so you're already into this movie and it's odd little stuff in there, and the place setting is so amazing in that first shot.
Yeah, I think that first shot really shows you the dynamic of power and
That's a good way of putting it.
Who controls what the direction of what's going on. And honestly, I think it kind of coincides with Summer with Monika in that sense where, the second half of it deals with the realities of who's actually in charge and who will, allow you to do these things. Now that fat guy doing that thing, he's the big cheese, whereas, Eva Dahlbeck, her character, she's the manager, but she's also really stuck up, and she's got something where she's more or less just trying to control a situation.
Yeah, her mind's somewhere else, though.
Her mind's somewhere else because, as we figure out, she's actually having a relationship with a married guy who she's actually madly in love with. And
I don't see it. He's not very attractive in the movie.
No, but it must be his personality. Who knows?
He's a nice guy.
But that opening scene kind of transitions into where where we have why am I blanking on her name?
Doris.
Doris,
yeah.
The younger woman. She is late for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And she more or less just immediately gets fired.
Yep.
And then she goes on kind of just like a walk to be oh well, I guess I messed everything up, and feeling really, really bad about herself. She looks in the window of this jewelry shop, and then you see Otto.
Yep, played by Gunnar Borstrand.
Yeah.
Also of Smile of a Summer Night fame.
He's been in a lot of Bergman films.
I love him. He's probably my favorite actor, though, that came back from the acting trope. He's my favorite. Just from all the actors, the reoccurring actors of these Bergman movies, he's my favorite. I realized that today. But
he's this character he's an old man. He is oh look at this young woman, and I can wow her with my riches because he's a rich guy. He's I can buy her jewelry. I can take her onto the town. I can go to the I can go to the amusement park and go on this roller coaster ride, and kind of just wow her.
Yep.
Right.
He's an old fool. I think that's what he calls himself too. But before we move on, I just want to talk about Eva Dahlbeck's character, Suzanne. The train sequence, because they actually have to go to a different place. I think it's Stockholm. I think they take the train.
Copenhagen?
Or Copenhagen.
Maybe.
regardless,
anyway, yeah.
they're going to a big place in a big city in Sweden, and there's a really weird like dream quote unquote sequence on the train
with the rain.
With the rain and like the door open and closing, and then like the image of a guy jumping out of the train, and she's just staring deathly at it. Super weird.
Surreal and
and I don't know if he was doing that to just play with the audience or because he was trying to say something, but from watching like some of his earlier stuff, I think that calls back to a lot of surrealism, especially when you think like Crisis and like Ship to India. That was like maybe a callback to his early works that I really found fascinating, and especially like it's one of those odd scenes, kind of like in Wild Strawberries.
I think it speaks to her character. Mm-hmm. So just like with
Dr. Borg,
Dr. Borg's character, mm-hmm. you're seeing this fear unfold in front of him, and I think with her fear is she's so stretched thin.
True.
And so she's like I'm a boss of this modeling company. I have to follow this fat guy's opinion on everything, and also I'm in love with this married man, and like nothing is like going, like I'm not happy. It's like I'm not happy, and all these things are happening to me right now.
That's a good way of putting it.
And then just like on top of it, it's not really connected so much to Doris's character, not until a little bit later.
Right.
But, like that whole dynamic, like, I think she just feels lost.
Yeah, maybe it's like a inside of her psyche, in a way, which you don't see a lot of times in movies when you think about it. Mm-mm. But what I really did like about this movie is it separates Doris's story with Suzanne's in a really like non-conflicting way. I'm like thinking like, oh, I haven't seen Suzanne on the screen for a while. They really meticulously work it through, and like once we start going to Doris and Otto's
here,
I really like that stuff. But then you find out because Otto brings her back to his place to get her dress and bandage himself up after their dates. We're all in one day, by the way.
It is all in one day. This whole thing's one day.
Which is crazy. And they start getting drunk, drinking champagne, and she's like kind of joking and mocking him, which I kind of was thinking was rude, but at the same time thinking he kind of deserves it for what he was trying to do. Is she's like saying, oh, you're rich and you don't know what to do with it, buy me a car, buy me this, buy me that. And he's just like standing there kind of like, well, what the heck am I doing with this girl? He feels like that kind of like that inclination of regret hits. Buyer's remorse is like, you guys call it with me.
He gets that when we go Blu-ray shopping.
But and then we'll find out his daughter.
His daughter comes.
Trouble.
His daughter comes and she notices immediately what's going on and immediately judges him for it, but immediately goes to her and is all like, oh, so this is another one of
his like habits,
your pets or your habits, or and then
super confrontational and scary. But he's kind of deserves it though.
Sure.
Because when you find out from the daughter is he has a wife, but he put her in a mental institution because she sees images. She sees her when she gave birth to the daughter. She said she saw her like have like a wolf's head or something like that with fangs, which Otto mocks his own daughter with that. But liking his wife up in a mental asylum basically, and giving his daughter an allowance and like keeping funds away from her.
Yeah. It's a really messed up situation, and it's a really kind of humbling scene. Like that whole thing is just like it all kind of crashes. Like, oh, we're having a fun, whimsical time. Like clearly this is like all really serious, but at the same time, then like it all comes to reality. The reality crashes in. It's like, oh,
it hits hard.
Like, this is not a good idea at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after all that happens, then we go finally back to Suzanne. We cut to her in her whole predicament. And earlier in the movie, you saw she was contacting this man who verbally said he didn't want to see her, nor could he even try and see her because he was busy. Still wants to see him anyway.
Yeah.
He comes over and rendezvous.
Yeah, rendezvous, and they go over to his apartment.
Her apartment,
and
they make love. Spoilers. And But and after that, they're talking about things to do, and he verbally just says like, "I can't afford to leave you. I mean, leave my family for you." And she still's like, "I want to have a kid with you."
She's really in love with this guy, and the thing is, right after that, all of that discussion, the wife comes in and realizes that, like she knew that this was happening, and then she's like, "Hey, moron." he's gonna be with me the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, he's not gonna leave you. He's poor. He can't really do anything. It's like,
Yep.
it's like kind of give up this dream.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad and kind of like honest, because it's like that's the reality of it. And honestly, Suzanne should be trying to get over it, but she just can't, and she's just in love with this man. And he then says that he has a 5-day week, like at work, away from the house, and he wants her to meet up with him, and she still was thinking about it. And then, oh, I forgot this last part. I was like crying and laughing. The wife and him leave Suzanne in the apartment, and they leave, but then she calls his name, like she's like crying his name, but like holding it in because she doesn't want to admit that she misses him. But he comes back in, and she goes, "Oh, you heard me. I knew you would come back." And he goes, "No, I just forgot my briefcase behind you." Picks it up and then leaves.
Yeah. And that's kind of where like it kind of comes crashing down to like that ending of the film, where it's like that reality comes and it just hits them all and slaps both of them in the face, and it's like, hey, go back to your work, go back to work, stop, you know, getting involved with these guys that like could have been these dreams of yours are not a good idea.
Yeah.
And overall, like, he's like, you know, it's kind of sad, it's a little tragic, it's all that things combined, where it's the drama, it's romance, and it's tragedy all combined. Yeah,
and the movie, like, I mean, they even say that Doris is with a young girl who's like trying to get a piece of the high life. And it's, I think this is like Bergman saying, like, this is what fame and fortune is kind of like. It's not very glamorous and stuff like that. And Doris actually had a boy in the beginning of the movie that she felt like she was too good for, but then she realized, he's a nice guy, he's boring.
Fiance.
It
was a fiance too.
Uh-oh.
And then they got back together. And
yep. So
it all worked out.
There you go. That's some Bergman for you.
So I'd say this movie was a solid 3/5 for me. Yeah. All right, last one. It's the last one for the Bergman opening night. We have A Lesson in Love from 1954. This one is a full-blown comedy that Bergman was really anxious about because he didn't really think this was going to work. Yeah, I love this movie because it's like a prelude to Smiles of a Summer Night from 57. And you see a lot of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Kind of like from Smiles, he borrowed a lot from A Lesson in Love and brought it to Smiles. I mean, both of those things being Eva Dahlbeck and Gunnar Borstrand are both in it as well, just like in Dreams and in Smiles of a Summer Night as the leads. But this time they're different because the movie's kind of oddly paced. Because it starts out with... It starts off really strong.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like it's like, okay, we're...
Well, who's his character? Tell him who's their character. Gunnar.
Gunnar's character is Dr.
David
Erdman. I have my notes and I'm trying to read. But anyway, he's a gynecologist, and like, of course.
Yeah.
And then his mistress shows up, and his mistress is really angry with him and being like, it's like, hey, it's like, why aren't you in love with me? Why aren't you with me?
Yep.
And he just like I just don't want anything to do with you anymore, kind of a thing. And then she just like unloads on him. It's like, you're a cynical man, you're egotistical, you're tired and boring, you're old, like
a teeny tiny bit older. Is what he says.
Yeah.
A teeny tiny.
He's like, and he retorts with that. I'm a little bit older.
But he's just going. He wants to go on his car ride and meet up with his wife.
Yeah,
and catch a train.
This is just like a really jolting opening scene. It's like, whoa, okay, what are we getting involved with?
It's funny. It's kind of dramatic.
But it's kind of funny because it's like that's what I'm saying. It's a full blown comedy.
Yeah.
So that's the opening. That's the opening thing for that.
And then it goes into him in a car having flashback details of his life and who he is, and then you get introduced into seeing that that girl that was barking at him was actually one of his patients, but she wasn't actually a patient. She happened to be his neighbor in their summer home, and she just madly fell in love with him.
And came and just wanted to do the deed there all the time.
And he really tried himself. He tried to like push himself away from her, but he eventually lust overtook love.
That's what happens. It's a lesson.
So they say. And so, we cut after that flashback, and then he talks about the championing and praising of women, and kind of like how women are smarter and more important than men, and which is definitely true about that, because a lot of the guys are very much idiots in the movie.
Sure, absolutely.
And so then he goes into the train sequence where he's going to actually meet his wife. You don't find out, but it is his wife that's there.
Marianne.
Played by Eva Dahlbeck again. Yeah. And they act like they don't know each other at first. And there's this guy hitting on her in front of Dr. David.
Yeah, she's also very similar to the fling that like this girl that was obsessed with the doctor. Very similar mentality towards the doctor. Yeah. Old, tired, boring, cynical, narcissistic. Is kind of falling out of love with him because of just a lot of these things that he's doing, and. Little do we know, he is like, okay, I want nothing to do with this crazy girl that's been coming to my office, and I really want to get back with my wife. Yep. Like, I really want to make her, I want to love her again, and I want to get back to things that are important to him. Yeah, and then it goes flashing back to a simpler time when they were madly in love with each other, and I think Bergman does this on purpose. Lots of flashbacks in this movie.
I think Bergman does it on purpose. He kind of shows the different stages of love, kind of like the beginning of their love when they marry, and then like go to see her grandparents who are like been together for like 60 years, and how much they're in love and what makes things work there, and how he like never wanted to leave her, and then it flashes back to the part where he committed infidelity, but I think she also committed infidelity with him. Yeah, with the famous sculptor. Within that person and you know. She flash forwards back to that part, but she also kind of wants to, because of her husband right now, she wants to get back with him. Yeah. Like that when I say that the golfer, she wants to go back with that old flame. Yeah. And she wants to get back. It's like you know what, like screw my husband because he's doing all these things. I might as well like just have fun myself, kind of in a way. And so it's a weird comedic. Battle of the Sexes. Battle of the Sexes. Yep. And, it's really interesting how everything unfolds. Yeah, and then you find out, guess who's in the movie? Harriet Anderson again, as their daughter named Nyx. Yeah. And Nyx is a boyish girl. Yeah. And I think it's done on purpose. It's done on purpose. Her character is just really, like, kind of tomboyish. No makeup, no nothing. Hates wearing dresses. Hates wearing dresses, yeah. And she says, like, she says, if you're a gynecologist, you know, can't you make me a boy? I don't want to be a girl. And so I was thinking when I was watching the movie and that was being said, they really focused on that for a while. The whole like, you know, her kind of being like gender confused, or she just doesn't want to be a female and she wants to be a male because she's convinced that men have like this financial hold on the women or something like that, and the women can't be independent, which is the complete opposite of the movie. And Harry Anderson as Nyx, you know, still wants to be a boy, so you kind of get that kind of like the confusion of like, and also kind of like the different ways the different kind of sexes are have power over each other, and that's where like some of the seriousness leaks in. But it's a satire on things, because like very surprising. You didn't think you'd seen it in 1950? No, not at all. Movie. And the crazy thing is like how this movie ends is kind of comical. Oh yeah. And you know, like, and I'll kind of brush it, but I won't touch it. I won't talk about it. So, but like it ends in a very, very funny way, with the door closing and something happening. Yeah. And so I'll just let you watch that and make your mind up for it when you see it. But. This movie is just the epitome of Battle of the Sexes. Like fully throttled, no prisoners taking. It was very funny. The only problems I had with it was the pacing at times felt a little off. There were some non-memorable parts of it that were focused on it too much. But it's a little all over the place. Yeah, so I guess I could understand some. Well, that's where I mentioned at the very beginning that I think Bergman was having a lot of anxiety because it's the first time he like wanted to have like a full-blown comedy as this thing that like, and he's like, I am really nervous about all of this, and I don't think it fully fleshed out what he wanted. Yeah. But like it was still a successful, I think, kind of a semi-successful film. If I remember reading it. Why are you in bed? Sorry. He's quoting Kung Pao. We're going to some low culture things right now. But no, I mean seriously though. I mean, A Lost Is Love. It's a great prelude to Smiles of a Summer Night, which I would recommend highly. If you want to just go back and see this. That's the very beginning of the opening night. Which I wanted to say, I love how they started and ended with movies very similar. Yeah. So what'd you give this movie? I gave it a 3.5. I think I'd give this a 2.5. Possibly. 2.5?
Yeah, it's a good movie, but I think it's one of the more average Bergman films, so I think that's why I picked 2.5.
Now I feel very like.
It's okay. We have different
pompous.
It's cool, buddy.
Like Bergman, 3.5 stars. But no, it's a 3.5 star because I applaud the comedy in it. It's same thing with like Smells of Summer Night. It's very non-American sexual comedy, and that's funny in that way. And also, Gunnar Borstrand. I got a soft spot for him. Favorite actor.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, buddy, we finished opening night.
We finished opening night. Look, where are we moving to? I'm looking right here. Centerpiece 1. We're actually at the main course. So I think next time what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering technically 2 films, but one of them is split into 2, so it'd be 3. So we're going to talk about Scenes from a Marriage. We're going to watch the television version from 1973, and then the U.S. theatrical version from 1974.
We are.
And then we're going to talk about Saraband, his last movie in 2003. And the thing is, these movies are connected. I know that for a fact, because I think it's the same characters, just years later.
Saraband, fun fact, lost the Academy Award for Best Picture to Return of the King.
As it deserves. Because nothing can beat Return of the King. There they are. It's over there.
Jeez, I'm really thinking about this 3.5 stars for Lessons in Love. I really did like it.
Yeah. So, what do you think of opening night, Chris?
I was glad that I was invited to attend it, for sure. It's one of those... I actually made a tweet about it on my Twitter. I added the Criterion Collection, and I just wanted to thank them for how wonderful and how gracious I am of them to bring this box set to life for us and curate it in such a way that has been almost instrumental in my film education and just introducing me to who Bergman is not only as a director, but like who I feel like as a person because of this book, because of the themes that are consistent in his movies. And I love these early works and kind of seeing his foundation. And I thank Criterion so much for it. Yeah. I'm a slave to the company now.
I'm a slave to the company. I mean, you saw my last video probably.
Is that Josef?
That's Josef von Sternberg and Dietrich. And but no, I will mirror the same things Chris is saying. I'm really thankful that Criterion has curated this box set. You know, I think Bergman was one of my foundations. When I saw Seventh Seal back in 2011 for the first time, I fell in love with just that fantastical side of him, and also the fact that he dealt with relationships and really deep philosophical themes. And we're actually going to get way deeper now, because I know a lot of these films, such as Persona and Seventh Seal, are a lot deeper than some of the things we've been talking about. Which, not saying these things aren't deep, but I really love how relationships were like the main key of the first opening night, where it had the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It had, you know, it had hilarious parts to it. It had some really over-dramatic parts to it. It's really cool to see that this director, you know, he kind of came from like a theater background, and you can totally tell. Yeah. You can totally tell it's like a type of, it's got a theater to it. Yeah. Theatricality. Yeah. Oh, he's just all over the place in terms of beauty, ballet, the violin, you know, dresses, parties. You know, he's like he wants to be all these things, but also stay very humble to himself too. Which is why he always has a high class character with a kind of a lower income character as a contrast in all his movies. It feels like. So I think this was a successful opening night. I'm really excited to check out Centerpiece 1 now. Yeah. I think we're gonna put this up very soon. I want to hear your thoughts down below. Have you checked out opening night? Have you checked out all 9 of these films? I want to hear which one's your favorite. I think personally my favorite's Wild Strawberries of them all. And then I would say Smiles of a Summer Night and Summer Interlude and Summer Monika. Those are like my 4. Yeah. I can't decide right now. If I would, it would be a three-way tie with Ship to India, Smiles of a Summer Night, and then Wild Strawberries. Good choices. Well, I want to thank you, Chris, for coming on the channel again. Hey, you know me. I think the fans wanted this. They wanted this. Daisuke, thank you for shouting us out last time as well. Daisuke Beppu. He has a channel as well, and we'll link in the description down below. He is talked about Criterion more or less the whole time, I think. He's already watched all of them on here already. It's crazy. But he gave us a shout out, and we're really thankful for that. So thank you.
Yeah, honestly, the community is great with the whole Bergman box. I think it's brought a new kind of life to Criterion. When I joined before all this happened, and like looking at it now, so much like cheerfulness now.
Yeah, people are just happy to kind of just talk about things that actually mean a lot to them.
I got a green book too. That means a lot to me.
He's the best picture winner.
Ah.
Anyway, like this video, comment down below your thoughts, share this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and
I'm not jonesing around. Also, stay tuned for some fantastic reviews down the line.
Cut.